He was the goofy pretty boy from that '70s show. A Hollywood heartthrob. The guy everyone laughed at, but no one took seriously. But behind closed doors, Ashton Kutcher was playing a completely different game. While the world was watching him flirt with Mila Kunis on screen, he was sitting in boardrooms with hoodie-wearing tech founders, making bets that would one day dwarf his acting paycheck. And here's the kicker. One of those bets would make him more money than his entire film and TV career combined. But how did Kelso become Silicon Valley's secret weapon? And what did he see that others completely missed? The answer might just change how you think about money forever. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. Ashton Kutcher was everywhere. From his breakout role as Michael Kelso in that '70s show, to leading goofy comedies like Dude, Where's My Car? And Just Married, the guy was a full-on pop culture phenomenon. He had the looks, the charm, the fan base. Hollywood loved him. And he was cashing in big time. Millions in appearance fees, endorsement deals, paparazzi photo shoots, you name it. But here's what no one knew. Kutcher wasn't content being just another handsome actor riding the fame wave. Deep down, he wanted more than the spotlight. He wanted control. He wanted leverage. And, most of all, he wanted to build something that lasted longer than his next hit movie. And that's when he started looking away from Hollywood and towards Silicon Valley. The shift didn't happen overnight. Ashton had always been curious. He wasn't your typical celebrity. In interviews, he'd talk about science, innovation, even programming. But the spark really caught fire in the late 2000s. That's when he met a new wave of entrepreneurs, young, scrappy, brilliant minds who weren't chasing fame. They were building the future. And Ashton was hooked. At the time, most A-listers were pouring their fortunes into real estate or luxury businesses. But Ashton saw something different in startups. Something wild, risky, but potentially game-changing. And then came his first real taste of the tech gold rush. He made a quiet, early-stage investment in a scrappy little company called Skype. Yes, that's Skype. The one we all used to awkwardly video call our parents before Zoom came along. In 2011, Skype was acquired by Microsoft for over $8 billion. And Kutcher? He walked away with a very real return on investment. The Hollywood guy had struck gold. But here's the thing, this wasn't a fluke. It was just the beginning. By now, Ashton knew he needed help to play this game at a higher level. He might have charm and curiosity, but Silicon Valley was brutal. Startups failed all the time. Most investments would end up worthless. So he teamed up. Enter Guy Oseary, Madonna's longtime manager and one of the savviest entertainment execs in the industry. Together, the two formed a venture capital firm called A-Grade Investments. Their mission? To take Ashton's instincts and Guy's deal-making skills and turn them into startup gold. They weren't playing like amateurs. They were going after real deals, real founders, and real returns. And they didn't just stop at Skype. Between 2010 and 2013, Ashton Kutcher placed bets that would define his legacy, not as an actor, but as a visionary investor. He bought into Airbnb back when most people thought renting a stranger's couch was insane. He invested in Uber back when it was a scrappy black car app trying to get rich people from point A to B. And Spotify, when people still preferred CDs and iTunes. He wasn't just lucky, he believed. He listened. He learned. He met with founders, dug into business models, and placed bold, early bets when no one else dared. And here's where things get crazy. Reports suggest that A-Grade Investments turned their initial $30 million fund into $250 million. And Ashton? He made more from these investments than he ever made from Hollywood. Let that sink in. The guy who made you laugh and punked made his real fortune behind closed doors, quietly betting on apps that now shape the world. But it wasn't all wins. There were losses, too. Not every startup succeeded. Some flopped. Others barely returned the original investment. At one point, Kutcher nearly passed on a company that would become one of his biggest winners. He thought the idea was too out there. A risk. Something better left alone. That company? Airbnb. He almost skipped it. But something told him to take the leap. And that leap, risky as it was, paid off in a massive way. That's the thing about angel investing. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about recognizing that one bet, if it hits, can change everything. And Ashton Kutcher had the guts to make that bet. Now, here's where Ashton Kutcher did something most investors couldn't. He brought something to the table that VCs on Sand Hill Road didn't have: influence. When a startup founder landed a meeting with Kutcher, it wasn't just about money. It was about access, exposure, buzz. Imagine pitching your startup to a Hollywood star who could instantly tweet about your app to millions, or casually mention it on a late-night talk show. That's power. And Ashton knew how to use it. But don't be fooled. He wasn't just slapping his name on projects for clout. He was in the trenches. He'd grill founders on their metrics, dig into product-market fit, ask the kind of questions most actors wouldn't know to ask. He wasn't just investing his money. He was investing himself. By 2015, Ashton wanted more structure, more scale. So he launched a new investment firm, Sound Ventures. This wasn't a side hustle anymore. It was a full-time operation. Professional analysts, deal teams, due diligence, the whole 9 yards. Sound Ventures allowed Ashton to go bigger, deeper, smarter. And with it came more hits, more IPOs, more exits. But something had changed. Now, he wasn't just chasing the next unicorn, he was thinking long-term. About impact. About the kind of companies he wanted to be associated with. It wasn't just about multiplying his wealth anymore. It was about meaning. Now pause right here, because this next part will blow your mind. According to multiple reports, Ashton Kutcher's total earnings from acting, including that '70s show, 2.5 Men, and box office roles, land somewhere around $200 million. Respectable. Huge, even. But the value of his venture capital holdings? Conservative estimates place it well above that, and growing. He made more from early-stage tech investing than from his entire career in front of the camera. And here's the financial twist that matters. Kutcher wasn't playing it safe. He allocated a small slice of his wealth, maybe 5%, maybe 10%, to high-growth opportunities. Startups that could go bust or explode. That small slice? It ended up being the biggest piece of the pie. He diversified. He bet big, but smart. And he didn't let fear make his decisions. Of course, not everything was gold. There were a few massive almosts. He passed on investing in Twitter. Why? He didn't quite see the upside early enough. He also got burned on a few flashy ideas that fizzled out. Not every pitch meeting turned into a billion-dollar story. And yes, there were whispers. Critics who said he was just a celebrity getting lucky. But Ashton never pretended to be the smartest guy in the room. He asked questions. He surrounded himself with people smarter than him. He learned. And that's what saved him. He didn't fall in love with hype. He focused on teams, execution, and vision. It wasn't about trying to look smart. It was about being curious. Now imagine this. Ashton Kutcher filming 12-hour days on set, memorizing lines, doing press tours, all while managing a growing tech portfolio. He lived a double life. Hollywood on the outside. Boardrooms and pitch decks behind the scenes. And through it all, he stayed grounded. He kept showing up to meetings. Kept asking founders how they planned to scale. Kept making decisions not for fame, but for the future. While most celebrities were chasing endorsement deals, Ashton was chasing ideas that could change the world. And then came the moment that shifted everything. It was 2019. Kutcher was at an intimate founders' dinner in San Francisco. A startup founder got up and told a story about how his product, one Ashton had invested in years ago, had saved someone's life. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't a billion-dollar valuation story. But it was real. And Ashton, by his own account, was shaken. That was the night he realized something. He wasn't just funding businesses. He was funding people. Purpose. Impact. It wasn't about how many zeros were on the check anymore. It was about what that check could do. From that moment on, he started focusing more on mission-driven startups, companies working on sustainability, mental health, human rights, AI for good. He still wanted returns. But he also wanted legacy. Fast forward to today. Ashton Kutcher is no longer just a Hollywood name or a curious tech tourist. He's a serious player. Through Sound Ventures, he's backed companies in artificial intelligence, fintech, sustainability, even biotech. He sat down with founders tackling everything from climate change to decentralized finance. He's built relationships not just with startups, but with visionaries, innovators, builders. In 2021, Sound Ventures raised a new $240 million fund focused entirely on AI. Long before ChatGPT became a household name, Ashton saw the next big wave coming. He wasn't chasing trends. He was riding the future. And for a guy who once played a lovable idiot on TV, he's starting to look like one of the smartest investors alive. There's a deeper truth here. What Kutcher has done, quietly, patiently, relentlessly, is build a second career from scratch. He didn't have a finance degree. He wasn't born into venture capital. But he did 3 things that anyone can do. 1. He stayed curious. 2. He asked questions. 3. And he took risks when others hesitated. He didn't need to be a tech genius. He just needed to be open, willing to listen, willing to learn. That's something most people never do, even when they've got everything going for them. Kutcher did it, while juggling scripts, red carpets, and late-night shoots. Here's the real lesson, and yeah, this is where the money talk gets real. Ashton didn't put everything on one roll of the dice. He didn't sink his acting fortune into some risky crypto or a flashy restaurant chain. He took a small percentage, a sliver of his portfolio, and bet it on innovation, on growth. It was smart diversification, not reckless gambling. The average investor might not get into Uber or Airbnb, but the principle still applies. Want to start small? Look at emerging markets. Explore equity crowdfunding platforms. Read about founders and follow their journeys. Join communities that talk about innovation, not just hype. Because, like Ashton showed us, it only takes one right bet to change the game. And now, the twist you didn't see coming. One of Ashton's most successful investments? He almost missed it. In a 2017 interview, he admitted he didn't understand the idea at first. Thought it was too weird, too uncertain. But he gave it a second look, dug deeper, talked to the founder again. And what he found wasn't just a clever app. It was a revolution. That company? Robinhood. Yeah, that Robinhood. The app that would go on to flip Wall Street on its head. If Ashton had trusted his first instinct, the cautious, conservative voice, he would have walked away from a generational opportunity. But he didn't. He went back. He stayed curious. And once again, that made all the difference. So what does this all mean for you, sitting at home, watching a video about an actor-turned-investor? It means you don't have to be rich to think like Ashton Kutcher. You don't need movie deals or insider access. But you can. Be curious. Diversify smartly. Stay humble. And always, always keep learning. And maybe, allocate a little slice of your future into something that just might blow up. You never know what your Airbnb could be. So now you know, Ashton Kutcher isn't just a pretty face or a Hollywood prankster. He's the tech whisperer behind some of the biggest startups of the decade. The guy who made more money from apps than from acting. The proof that brains and bravery can rewrite your destiny, no matter where you start. If you like this story, subscribe to Money and Fame, where we reveal the wildest financial journeys of the world's biggest celebrities. And now it's your turn. Which celebrity's financial story do you want to hear next? Drop it in the comments below. Thank you. See you.